You know when you meet someone and you very quickly realize you pretty much share a brain, you're always on the same page and essentially speak the same language, maybe just in a different font?
I'm Stephanie, and that was Holly, and we are those girlies. After sharing an experience in corporate America, and maybe some trauma bonding along the way, we really just want to yammer about the stuff that matters to us. Join us as we discuss navigating self-love and growth, marriage, sobriety, and the hamster wheels that are our brains. And welcome to Same Language, Different Font.
Hello, hello.
Hi, guys.
We're back. Which, did you ever watch that movie when you were a kid?
I think
We're
so.
back?
I definitely remember the name of the title, like seeing
Dinosaurs
it as
take
a
over
kid.
Manhattan, kids turning into monkeys. It was a weird one. It was...
I think I do remember that, as a matter of fact. I don't know why I'm so stuck on The Land Before Time recently. I don't know what my deal is. Like, somehow I got into a conversation the other day about The Land Before Time, and it's been stuck in my brain. And then I saw that they're closing the dinosaur exhibit at Disney yesterday. Like, I didn't even know that there was a dinosaur exhibit.
That's probably why they're closing it.
It's like, sorry, friends. I guess now they're really going extinct. So
yeah. They still have it at Universal, though.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So maybe not the happiest place on earth, but definitely the most adventurous. I don't know. That's how I feel about Universal, at least.
Jurassic? Is that an adjective?
Ooh, yeah, there you go. Prehistoric, if you will.
Prehistoric. Yes, there we go. Thank you for helping me with that. Hello, everybody. We already started episode 2 with a quick side rant and tangent, but we are back. Thank you so much for joining us as we start this second episode. We are going to be focusing on goal setting for this episode. We feel like this is a great time. This should be launching in February. Great time of year to really be focusing on what are your intentions for the year, And I think everybody jumps into it in January trying to start right out the gate. They bite off more than they can chew, and then they get burnt out within a few weeks. And so I personally think January should be a month of rest. We survived the holidays. Let's kind of take a second and figure out, what do we actually want to push for this year? And then really jump in deep end in February and go from there. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I completely agree. Completely agree with that. And I think that if we're speaking to our testimony on like our goal setting journey, there's no goal too small to start with.
Right.
And I think that you and we laugh and joke about that. How in the world has this same language, different font come to be when our original goals were taking our multivitamin, aka the horse tranquilizer, because the pill was gigantic and awful.
I take gummies now. Like, I can't do it. We started with this pill that literally looked like something you would give a horse. It was so big. And if you took it on an empty stomach, you got so sick. I refuse. It was like running a marathon, taking this every morning for us. Yeah. That's what we started with. We started with that and drinking water. Yep. I think, we started very, very small, but that's what you have to do, because I think people will start too big and then feel like they've failed and just stop completely. So, looking back, we laugh because we started small, but look where we are now.
That's it. Absolutely. And I think in this episode, we'll kind of cover how starting small and then adding in and staying consistent and being okay with being like, hey, I set that goal. I didn't meet it. I didn't reach it. Maybe it's not a goal of mine anymore. Kind of navigating through, all right, I've been doing this for a while and now I'm bored. I'm bored of it. I struggled with that. Yeah, I struggled with that. And Holly gave me some really good advice, on overcoming that or changing my perspective, because I didn't have to really overcome anything. I'm still, completing all of the same goals that I had set for myself, but thinking about it in a way of, this is just natural to me now. It's just a part of my daily process. What else can we do and add in to just continue, feeling better? Because at the end of the day, I think setting these goals for ourselves has helped us feel better, 100%. Live better, and really kind of helped us be proud of ourselves, which is hard.
One of the most rewarding things, and as we keep saying, we're 2 years into this now, but I feel like I'm really just now starting to feel the pride behind, and maybe it's part of the pod because we are looking back at where we started and where we are now. There's so much pride there, and I almost feel guilty for feeling it because you're supposed to be humble, but at the same time, like, heck no. We started with taking a pill every morning and drinking water, and now here we are trying to help others have this mindset and figuring out that didn't work for us, but we still take those vitamins, just maybe in a different form. And it's something that I don't even think about anymore. Whereas, like,
Nope.
we would have to send reminders every day. Like, did you take your horse trank? Did you eat your breakfast? To take the horse trank.
Right.
And so I completely agree. I think that starting small is the best way to do it. I think that what I have in my notes is goals provide the why behind what we do in life. Without it, life will literally just take you and continue running with you. And before you know it, you're 60 years old, looking back, thinking, what was it all for? What was I trying to achieve? And goals are the why behind what we do. And they don't have to be this, I plan for this entire year, I'm going to do this. Break it up into smaller pieces. Like, do check-ins throughout the year to keep it at the forefront of your mind. And we're going to be here for those check-ins. We're going to be doing this right alongside you guys. That's something that I struggle with, is doing the check-ins, maybe not monthly, but quarterly. Doing it in June and then really pushing for the end of the year to hit those goals that you wanted to achieve in January or February. But it really all boils down to, what do you do every day? What are your daily habits? And that's what we're here for, is to set those daily habits.
Absolutely. And there's no wrong time to start working
No.
on it. You don't have to hold a grudge against yourself for not starting earlier, for maybe starting something, putting it down for a while, coming back to it. I would say a majority of the goals that I'm working on right now in my day to day are things. For me, July of this year was the heavy hitter. That's really where things just kind of changed for me. The mental block came down because I feel so much of goal setting, if not all of it, is the mental. The physical part of it, whether that be activity or physically taking vitamins or physically sitting down to write your gratitudes, those all come when the mental aspect of it, when you're dialed in. And I have in my notes as well some references and some things that have really helped me see that I can do it. And
Absolutely.
have taught me different ways and different methods that I may not have been aware of in the past at all. We all come from different backgrounds and different experiences, and maybe you had certain things modeled to you, through the years, whether that be through family or teachers or just a best friend, for example, yeah. maybe it's something that comes easier to you, and maybe you're somebody that it doesn't. And for me, setting goals, I feel I have always been a serial giver upper. I have talked about this with those closest to me. It's easy to start something, get tired of doing it, maybe fall into a rut, have life circumstances kind of come into play and throw you off track. You can always start over. You can say, that was a goal that I had for myself and it's not a goal that I want anymore. It doesn't fit my life anymore, and that's okay. But I know how lonely and hopeless not having anything to look forward to can be, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And if you start small and you achieve that first small step, you're building that confidence in yourself.
Yes.
that I can do hard things. And it seems so silly. Why is taking a multivitamin hard, Stephanie? That's crazy. It's not just that.
If you tried these pills, you'd know that it is so freaking hard.
It is. Because like Holly said, it's not just that. It is then also, eat breakfast. You'll feel better.
Habit
It is
stacking. I think that's part of Atomic Habits is habit stacking. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun here.
No, you're not at all. And honestly, I would say that I listened to Atomic Habits by James Cleary, and I listened to the audiobook version. I do want to buy a hard copy version and go through it again and do all my notes and everything else that have just kind of become a part of, my own growth journey, is socking away all these little tidbits of information that I can use to help others and give advice when things randomly pop up or I hear somebody talking about something. But James Cleary defines atomic habits as tiny, consistent actions that compound over time. The key to long-term success is not large, dramatic changes, but small habits that accumulate. And I just put, start small. Even the smallest effort over time will grow. It is inevitable. And you do it. Sometimes you do it and you do realize it. And sometimes you do it and you don't even realize that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because it just becomes a part of your day to day. And once you have that moment of realization, I feel like that's where it's like, all right, what else can we do now? What else can we add in here?
And if you start small, then you don't necessarily feel as overwhelmed with what you're trying to achieve. So the smaller you start, the easier it seems to actually jump into it. And I think you have to not let how you view yourself and how you think others view you impact what you want to do. For example, like I wanted to be a runner and I'm like, I've never ran before. I actually feel like I hate running, but I want to be somebody who says that they run. I want to do a half marathon. I had never ran in my life, mind you. I avoided it like it was the plague. And then now you say do hard things. I literally looked up because I have a I can do hard things wall, and my half marathon tag is on that wall. And now whenever I think maybe I can't do this, maybe I shouldn't start this habit because I've never done this before, I look at this wall and I think, gosh darn it, Holly, yes, you can.
You absolutely can. It's the receipts that you build up for yourself.
Yes.
And it's I going back just a bit to what you said. It is not, this whole episode is not about anybody else. It's about you. It's about you, listeners, and your journey and the things that you can be doing in your day-to-day, which will affect your brain, your heart, your body, to get you to that point of pride and feeling that you can, and giving yourself that proof. The proof is in the pudding. I mean,
it's your life. It's you are the one at the end of the day that has to be happy with you and what you did. And if you aren't proud of what you've done, even if you think it's what you should be doing, what kind of life is that?
Yeah.
It's not just that one day. Those one days add up to be that month, that year. And again, before you know it, I don't know why I'm hating on the 60-year-olds. You're 60 years old and you're looking back, just thinking, where did it go? What was it for? Let's start now. Sorry,
Absolutely.
I really love goals.
No, it's true. And the thing is, and I wrote this down. I wrote it on my paper notes. I wrote it in my phone notes. It's something that I actively have to remind myself. I mean, we are months into different journeys that we've been on, different growth journeys that we've been on. You have to believe that you can do it. You have to start with the belief in yourself that you can do it. Even if that is looking at yourself in the mirror every single day and saying, I can do this. I can do this hard thing. And I did also add a little caveat to that, because being transparent with you listeners, I will always be as honest as I can with you guys. I hit a roadblock on Thanksgiving. I mean, I hit a brutal roadblock, at least to me, that had me blinds down, curtains closed, room blacked out, movies on, phone down. Just, I felt like a zombie of myself. And every day I'm thinking to myself, what about your goals, Stephanie? What about all of these habits that you formed? How are you going to get back up? How are you going to do it again? You've lost all of your motivation. That's not me. That's not me telling myself that. That is, for our believers out there, a different force that will come in and sow those seeds of doubt. And it is not fact at all. It is feeling, and it is my latest soapbox: fact over feeling. The fact is, I needed rest. I needed to stop thinking about all of the things that we have to think about on the day to day. Being a mom, being a wife, being a career woman, thinking about our beautiful podcast and wanting to do right by our listeners, all of the different things. I was not giving myself time to just be. And big man said, sit your little booty down. And I said, yes, sir. And what I'm excited for is the next time that I feel that burnout, so I can hold tight that big man has me. And here I am a week later doing my habits like it's nothing. I'm right back to it.
Yeah.
It's not impossible.
To rest. Yeah.
And
big
I had
man
to believe.
He is speaking loud today, let me tell you, because on that habit tracker that we just got, that we will discuss in a separate episode, one of mine that pops up every day is looking in the mirror and saying, I can do it. And it has been so incredibly uncomfortable and awkward to do that, because I've only had this for 2 weeks, but it's just funny that you said that. The second thing was that my devotional this morning, that 40 Days of Gratitude, literally talks about how motion is 86% of the word emotion. And it all starts with how you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're believing about yourself before you can put it into action. It's just funny that it happened this morning.
That's that paralysis. It's that paralysis that hits. And that's exactly what happened to me. It was that I just hit that wall, and it's true, and all of a sudden it's all of these feelings are flowing in. And the second that I could get it in check, and put that gratitude back in my mind of,
oh yeah,
girl, look at how far you've come. Look at how much you've done. I have a habit tracker up on my wall that I keep. I have habit trackers on my phone that I keep just as reminders. I am very much a visual person. I suffer from a little bit of object permanence, where if I don't see it, I don't know it exists, kind of deal. So, keeping that in the forefront of my mind, it's a game changer. Oh, yeah. Ooh, I like that one. I can't wait to do the Devo today now.
I know. I really made it hit hard this morning. But one of my favorite things when we were talking about this episode and talking about goals, because we promise we've done so much research, and we're going to be posting all of these different links and articles that we read and books that we're going to be looking into that are all related to goals. So many various goals, the top goals for 2025, all that jazz. But one of my favorite things that you had mentioned was it doesn't just give you a why or something to work towards. It gives you something to celebrate when you hit it, because daggum, when you hit that goal, you are on cloud nine. Like when I ran that half marathon, at the time I was still drinking, and all I wanted was some clams and a spicy margarita. And a lot of my family came up, friends came to encourage, and it was just so much fun. And I felt like I hadn't had something to celebrate like that in a while. You graduate from college, you get married, and then it's like, who's going to come and do stuff with you? Like, what other big events would they come for? But if you set big goals like that, your people will show up for them. And it just makes it that much more meaningful and special and all of the things.
Absolutely. Or, and I feel that, when I share with a family member who I haven't seen in a while that I'm now 4 months sober, and they look at me like, holy cow. Because traditionally in my family and in my friend dynamic and things like that, it was, if there's a reason to celebrate, we are popping bottles and having a grand old time of it. And to be able to make it through my first real holiday, Thanksgiving, and stay completely sober. And it's it was my own personal celebration, but something that it didn't go unnoticed by my people in any capacity. Anytime that you hit those big goals, you're absolutely right. Anytime you hit those big goals, it's that, I did it. I did it. I made it. I'm still going, and I can keep going, and I can do it. And it's just a part of me now. It's a part of my wins, and it's something, I feel like we just keep coming back to pride, but I feel like when you have gone through your 20s as a young woman and had highs and lows in confidence and had some big wins and had some really tough losses and have felt lost along the way trying to figure it out, like we all are, all of us, that's all we're all trying to do, is just figure it out. It's when you have these big milestones of things that you've done for yourself that maybe nobody even knows about, the quiet battles that you're fighting. It's a different type of reward. It's a reward that nobody can take away from you. And then being able to speak on it is beautiful. Never take advice from somebody who's falling apart. It's one of my favorite Taylor Swift lyrics.
There she is.
2 episodes. That's 2 episodes now.
Is. 2 for 2.
Let's see if we can get one in every episode. But I think back at all of the times, I worked for Publix for a really long time, and I worked with kids, young, 15, 16, 17-year-olds when I was in my 20s. And I was out here thinking I'm giving the world's best advice. And this is how you do this. And this is how you reach this goal. And this is how you do this. And meanwhile, my whole life is a dumpster fire outside of that place. I'm like, what in the world am I talking about? Now I know because the proof is in the pudding. And I know that we mentioned it in our introduction episode. I feel like we can speak to this because we have done it. And I'm going to kind of dovetail into my next point. And I feel like one of the biggest takeaways from the Atomic Habits book for me, I believe it was chapter 5, and it's about, it's focusing on the system, not the goal, is essentially the theme of the chapter. And we set goals and have set goals for ourselves. But equally as important, it is the systems that we have put into place to reach our goals. And we will talk about our non-negotiables and, and in an upcoming episode of what that looks like when it comes to our goals, the things that we just will not compromise about. And it means setting up things that coincide with your day to day to make them easier to implement. So for me, the gym is my sanctuary. It is the place
really
where
is.
it really has become that place. I hate to be that gym girly because I know I have been on the other side of it where it's like, stop preaching at me about exercise. Stop preaching at me about moving my body. Like, I just let me be. There's nothing wrong with just being. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But from my experience, dang it, I feel better. And I didn't want to feel so much better, but I feel so much better. So my system to ensure that I don't quit on myself or giver-upper on myself is I set out my clothes. I put on my gym clothes at 4:30, knowing that when I'm off at 5, I'm headed straight there. It stops my brain from even being able to ask the question, like, do we really want to do this today?
Yeah.
Like, no, girly, you're going to do this today because it's your system. You've set it up this way for success. I have, let's hate on the 6-year-olds one more time. You know, the pill organizers, the Monday, Tuesday. You know, I'm 33 years old and I have one, okay? And it has all my vitamins and all my medications. And it sits on my makeup stand in my face every day. So I know to take my vitamins, to take my medicine. Because if I don't feel better. It's a part of my system. That system that you build, however works best for you, it's inevitable to get you to that goal. You know, the systems that you put in place to hit that half marathon, you know, it's hard.
Yes.
It's not easy. But if you follow the system and you have the system set up to help you succeed, I don't know if you can fail. You might have a day setback, a couple of days setback, but something will continue drawing you back to that system.
Yeah.
Once you know that it works for you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And what I did, you had mentioned, you know, the quiet battles. What I did for the half marathon was I told everybody that I'm doing one, because that held me accountable. Is I just told everyone, and I was like, I can't not do it now. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it well. And mind you, I am human, and I have just now started getting back into running since that half marathon. That was in April, and we are recording this in December. So I gave myself ample rest from that, but we are getting back into it. You are great with feeling better and sticking to the exercising and going to the gym every single day. I am one of those people where I'm like, I know I would feel better, but I just don't want to do it. And that is one thing in particular that is probably one of the biggest struggles that I have for habits, is just the moving my body when I know that I need to. And what I found is, if you have an Apple Watch, find a friend that you can compete with. I compete and have constantly been losing to Stephanie for the past few weeks, but it does get me moving. And I get a 30-minute workout in pretty much every single day that we do these competitions, which is 30 minutes more than what I was doing before. Even if I'm still losing, that's not, if you really look at what the purpose is behind it, it's not to win this competition, which, yes, I would love to win. And dagnabbit, I will again one day. I've won twice. I want everybody to know I have
You
won
the
twice.
first 2 times. She won the first 2 times, guys. She's acting like she's never won before. And she was dead serious with that first competition. She was sending those reminders. I'm coming after you. It's like, oh my God.
The thing is it would be like 9:00 at night, and Em was like, what are you doing? And I am running back and forth in our house trying to get as many points as I can, because I was adamant that I would not lose to Stephanie. But
trying so hard not to crack up so hard right now, listeners, and just blare your ears out with my cackle, but it is true.
I would send videos just running back and forth. So it doesn't always look great. It's not always waking up at 5 a.m, putting on a matching workout set and going to the gym, which, if that is what you do, I love that for you. But I don't have it in me to wake up at 5 a.m. I don't have it in me to try to look nice doing that. I wish that I did. Maybe one day I will. I'm really proud of where you are, if that's where you are, because more power to you. I don't have that willpower at this moment in time, but we will get there. I'm going to segue into some things that I have found during this research when it comes to actually setting goals. Almost every single article that I read about goal setting, whether it be professional goal setting, self-care, personal growth, health, financial, marital, what have you, almost every single article said set SMART goals, which it's not just like, don't set dumb goals. Like, SMART is actually meant for something. It's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So make sure that you try to follow each of those parameters when setting these goals. Don't just say, I want to work out more in 2025. What does that actually look like? Do you want to work out once a week, twice a week? Don't say you're going to work out all 7 days. Again, we want to start as small as possible, making sure that we set those realistic goals to where we don't get burnt out. And we realize, because even if you do get to the point where you're working out 7 days a week, if that's what you need and that's what you want, great. If you're trying to jump into it, you might get burnt out and then think, this isn't for me. When in reality, I just need to tone it down just a little bit and let it work with my life, my schedule, my routine in a way that there's value behind it. When you are setting these goals, set them based off of what you value. What are your main priorities every single day? And for me, I set my goals with my husband for myself, as well as what can we set together. And whether it be marital, again, financial, we set religious goals each year, and what have you. Those are just a few of my examples, and we're going to share what we've set, Stephanie and I, for 2025 as well. But really sit and do some self-reflection. What do I value each day? I want to work on feeling better and having more energy. Okay, maybe you do need to exercise a little bit more or start taking a multivitamin. Please don't take the pill form. And eating a little bit more each day, getting your protein, whether it's with Stephanie's yogurt snack that she talked about in episode 1. Is that still going?
It's still on? It's 100% still going. Don't you guys worry.
But things like that, just really sit and figure out what's important to you. And I want to really put some emphasis behind if you have self-care goals and self-growth goals, because those are two very, very different things. And I really want to make sure everybody knows that self-care and self-growth, very different. And if you are focusing on self-care, but you are pushing for self-growth, you can find burnout in that. Because while both are super important, one is for recharging and one is for growing and continuing and pushing. And I really want to make sure that we know the difference between those.
No, and that has been one of my biggest struggles, is because I just looped them all in together, and it's
Yes.
it's just me working to be a better person. No, that's how you burn yourself out. That's how you don't listen to the warning signs, because there will be warning signs. Your brain and your body will tell you, you gotta slow down. You need to take a break. You're doing too much. We are only human. And I feel if you're in a place of actively thinking about setting goals and actively thinking about changing and becoming a different, I say better, I think I might even just now be realizing that maybe that's not quite the word that I want to associate, because it does make you feel better when it comes to being better. I think it's just maybe healthier is the word that I'm looking for. Yeah. I don't know why the word better bothers me so bad, because there was nothing wrong with me pre-setting goals, but there is a very large difference between taking care of yourself and working on growing yourself. Taking care of yourself is listening to those warning signs, and growing yourself is pushing yourself
out of that comfort zone.
Yes, to do the uncomfortable. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yes, ma'am. There it is. Same language. Same language.
Bond. Which also, if we mention SLDF, I also want everybody to know that does not mean the Sri Lanka Design Festival, because when I looked that up the other day, that's what popped up. And I was like, nope. I'm glad that Stephanie did clarify in episode 1, because I gave you grief for that.
Guys, I'm going to be transparent. Halls and I, we pray before every episode, and we don't record any of that because that's just for us. But she mentioned that right before we started recording this episode, and I lost my stuff. The Sri Lanka
opportunity missed. I should have waited.
I really feel like now at some point we've got to go to the Sri Lanka Design Festival.
Okay,
I don't know why.
Sure. Let's get M and OG to go to Sri Lanka Design Festival. All right, Steph, that'll be What goal is that going to be?
Right, there you go. Maybe that's the perfect example of unattainable, or maybe not a
Not
necessary goal.
realistic. Focusing back on some of the things that we've looked up.
Here we are.
Here we are. One of the best articles that I found that I really enjoyed and would love to someday have, I don't know who this human being is, but it's an article by Holly Connors, another Holly in the fam, but it's by Holly Connors, and it's how to set marriage goals. And I think the entire website, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but we'll definitely have it linked and listed for you guys. I think it's The Intention Habit is what the website was called, if I'm remembering correctly. But she listed so many good goals. There were too many to read for the podcast, but I was going through them and I was doing this research, and Em was next to me, and I was like, this actually makes me really proud, because we do a lot of these already without even really realizing that we're doing them. It's just already built-in habits within our marriage, which I think when you're doing this research, you should also be recognizing what you're already doing without any awareness behind it. It's just already built in. So take pride in what you've already accomplished without even realizing it, and then look for some things that you can add in, and things that hit those values, fit your lifestyle and your routine, and write them down. Tell an accountability partner about it. Tell us about it. Again, we want to be those partners with you guys.
Please.
And it might be something that we're not doing that we very much want to add in. It's a good idea. We can't find all of them, but we want to know as many as we can. We live for this stuff. So That was one that I found for marital goals. There was another one that talked about professional goals. If you're looking to really grow in a professional manner in 2025, one of the goals was, the top goals for 2025 was develop skills through mentoring, self-directed study, or classes. And really that just something that I think you and I have both been told over the years is invest in yourself. You're going to find growth professionally the more that you invest in yourself. You can't wait for somebody to provide that training for you or to provide that information. Go out and find it on your own, whether it be through a podcast, a book, an online class, for a certificate that you can print out and show to your bosses, showing that initiative behind it. That's something that speaks volumes. Actions speak way louder than words, in my mind, in my opinion. So that's one of them. And then to start a side hustle.
Hey.
Hello, SLDF.
Hello.
Was another top goal for 2025 that I thought was really good to share. So again, we're going to be listing some for, those were the top two, were marital and professional, that we found that people really shared when making goals. So we're going to post a bunch of different articles that relate to the values that Stephanie and I will be focusing on, and can definitely do some research on any areas that we've missed that you guys provide for us.
Absolutely. And Holly mentioned vision boards, and
yes.
I have never done one. I've never done a vision board. I feel that I'm in a place now creatively, because I feel like you do have to have some type of creativity in you to that's how I felt, at least. But Google defined vision boards as a visual tool used to clarify, concentrate, and maintain focus on your goals and aspirations. And so I was thinking for our listeners that it could be any tangible representation that you might, find important to you, that you might have been thinking about, something that maybe has been on your heart or in your mind for a long time, and you kind of can see what that might look like, but you need a visual representation of it. And this is where my note comes back about object permanence for me. If I can't see it, sometimes my brain will legitimately forget that it's there. And that's how I end up with 7 bottles of soy sauce, because it's hidden away in the back of the cabinet and I buy it every time I go to the store. Anyways, sorry, rant. But it doesn't have to be super creative. It can just
Yeah.
be things that you've been thinking about, things that you want to do, things that you want to try. You know, you might try it and hate it. I don't know. But it's something that really spoke to me, and it's something that I plan to do for 2025. And some of the things that I included in my notes about what I would like to include on my own personal vision board, just for our listeners. And if you guys have any tips or tricks, or you guys have done some vision boards that you really loved. And what I really love to see, and I've seen this on Insta and things like that, is people, and maybe this is a challenge that I'll do for myself for 2025, is creating a vision board at the beginning of the year and then revisiting at the end of the year to see where you stand.
Yes.
So for me, personal growth, something that a Bible verse to work towards, or a new hobby that I want to learn, different financial goals that I might have, for the new side hustle that OG and I started together, our financial goals, or maybe not financial goals for the pod, because that's certainly not our intention here, but I want to have subscribers and streams and things like that, because that means that our words are getting out there to you all, and that
100%.
you guys are maybe finding value in listening to us rant at you for an hour. Continuing my gym journey and summoning, I call it my mom strength,
Yes.
building that mom strength and getting super strong. In my marriage, finding time for more date nights. It's so hard. It is so hard when the schedule is just always full.
And you have a whole horde of children.
And I love my babies. I love my babies to death. But one of OG and one of our marriage goals has always been to put each other before everything else. And I really struggled with that as a mom, because being a mom is one of my greatest accomplishments. And I never want my children to ever feel like they come second to anyone but their dad. I'm sorry. That's my partner.
Don't apologize for that.
That's
that's how Em and I, whenever we do have kids, like we've talked about that, is we have to keep each other first, because if not, the kids are going to grow up. The kids are going to be out of the house one day. And if not, what do you have left? You have to keep that fire burning, because they watch so closely, closer than we realize. Like, even 100%. If we realize it, we don't think about it every single day, but it is happening every single day. They're watching and learning on what your relationship looks like, and that's what they're going to think is normal. So you have to keep that intention.
And that's exactly what they'll base their future relationships off of. And it's so important. I want to find a church home. I'm always looking for inspiration in that way. Just all of these different things that I can include on my vision board for what, I want my next year to look like, what I want, maybe it's going to take more than just a year to obtain, what I put on the vision board. There are some things that are, it's this whole goal setting thing. The number one rule, or maybe not number one, but one of the main rules that I've learned is it does not happen fast.
No,
it doesn't.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't, because we only do one day at a time. We can think about tomorrow. We can think about next week, or what this is going to look like 6, 8, 10 months down the road. But all we can focus on is just today. Did I hit my goals today? If I didn't, how can I change my system? Is there a flaw in my system somewhere that's keeping me from hitting those goals?
Or did you need a day of mediocrity? Because that is...
Did you?
You also need to think, why did I not hit it? Did I need to just take a rest day from it and just start fresh tomorrow? Because that's just where the grace comes. Sorry, did not mean to interrupt. Continue.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's and you may not be able to differentiate in the beginning, because sometimes in the beginning of starting all of this, it's just like anything new that you start, especially if you're excited about it, you just want to do it, and you want to keep that momentum, and you want to keep on going. And sometimes that's feasible. I'm sorry, I'm a woman, and I will speak to our women listeners out there. We've got 30 days in a month where our bodies and our minds and our brains are doing the somersaults. We
Yes.
go through highs, lows, influxes of hormones, low points. I mean, just all kinds of stuff just inside our bodies that we literally have no control over. But I found that implementing these goals has helped me level things out and be more rational when I feel the doom coming on,
Yeah.
or, starting to set in. And putting these goals in place has just continued to keep me focused, I would
100%.
say.
Yeah. And I think going into it with a mindset too of, I know I'm going to fail, instead of I'm going to be successful with this. I know I'm going to crush it, because even if you fail, you're still crushing it because you're trying to implement them. So have that mindset, because I know people who will get these habit trackers on their phone and they'll have right out the gate, they'll have like a 4-month, what is it called? I'm a grandma, a 4-month streak, and then miss a day and just be done with it because they missed that one day, which I get, that's hard, but go into it knowing that you're not every day is going to be a perfect day.
No.
Like it's just not. You're going to have those days of mediocrity. You're going to have those days of rest. You're going to have days where you don't even put on your watch because you don't want it to tell you to get up, because I'm going to rot on this couch for 9 hours and I'm going to be happy about it. Those days are absolutely fine. And I think being able to be okay with that is one of the biggest victories that you can have when starting this.
If not the most important victory. And
Absolutely.
that it took me a solid 3 months of this journey to really internalize that and stop beating myself up for it, and I still fail at not beating myself up over it. We're not perfect. There's only one person, being, entity, whatever you want to call it, that's perfect out there. And if I'm trying, if I'm thinking about it, if I'm seeking resources to help me along, that's all that matters. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. And the wins will come. The wins will come. It is inevitable. You cannot slowly start stacking these things and not see an outcome from it. It's just not possible. But you gotta try. And you gotta just start somewhere, anywhere. It could be laying the gym clothes out, and just that's the start. It could be, James Cleary, he says it exactly like this in the book. I'm stuck on this book, you guys. I'm telling you, it sounds so cheesy because I heard so much about it before I actually listened to it. And it's like, this is one of the best self-help books of... Pipe down, Pepe Le Pew. Okay, listen here. No,
you
I'm just
zigzagged
kidding.
on that one too, didn't you?
JK, my friends, listen. Get you a Holly, get you an accountability partner who will help sprinkle all of these little wins into your life, and it's amazing. It's like key in all of this goal setting for me, for sure. But it's the Atomic Habits. He says, lay the gym clothes out. That's day 1. Okay, you did that. You got clothes out, and you saw them there. You set the intention. The next day, put the clothes on and walk out the door to the car. The next day, get in the car, go sit in the parking lot of the gym. The next day, maybe you go into the gym and you just walk around, you take a look at things, or whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden, now you're there and you're trying things and you're learning that it's not so scary. And you're learning that nobody is judging you, because nobody cares. Nobody cares. We're all, I think that's one of the main things of all of this for me, is that when you're working on something so positive, because that's what goal setting is. We're not setting negative goals out here. I want to see how low I can get my bank account balance by the end of the month. Like, that's not what we're doing. It's positivity. People will embrace it.
Yeah.
If you talk about it, if you want to talk about it, people will embrace it. And they'll, you find cheerleaders that you didn't even think would be cheerleaders. I had a conversation with a coworker yesterday who I literally hardly ever talk to ever. And it ended up being a conversation where we both realized, like, holy cow, we're on like the same type of growth journey. Like, how cool is that? Out of nowhere. But I had to talk about it. You know, if you don't talk about it, then nobody will know about it, you know? So
Exactly.
don't want it to sound preachy. We don't want you guys to feel like we're preaching at you or anything like that. But coming back to it, it works. And I'm going to close up at least my part of this rant with a Bible verse that I heard this week that really hit home for me when it comes to specifically goal setting. It comes from the chapter Matthew, chapter 6, verse 21. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And so treasure can be anything. It could literally be anything. For a pirate, maybe it is an actual chest of gold and rubies and jewels. But for me and my life and what I'm, this journey that I'm on, my goals are my treasure, because if I'm setting them and achieving them, it changes the chemistry somehow, some way. And if they're important to you and you treasure them, somehow your brain will just want to do them. I'm trying to find like a more eloquent way to say that, but that's just it. It's getting over and getting out of this guy, out of the mental, I can't. And now it's so important to me that my heart goes to that place.
Yes.
You know, and
surround
wants
yourself
to
with
stay
it.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With what you
Yes.
read, what you listen to, who you talk to, that all plays such a big part in how motivated you are to do these things. So start there. What are you putting into yourself that you will then be essentially giving back to yourself through these day-to-day actions? So really focus on that. I know that we are getting a little bit higher on time, so I'm going to just quickly go through my 2025 goals and values, which is my marriage. We're going to be focusing on doing regular check-ins. What days do I need to really kind of be the stronger one and doing more of the things and helping support M a little bit more? What date, like those fluctuate daily. When does he need to really take the lead and help me out on a day where I'm just fried, I'm burnt out? And so doing those check-ins on what we need each day and making sure that we go on a trip, because we do pretty well with date nights because we don't have kids. And so we always just want to focus on making sure we plan time where we get away from our responsibilities and get back to us. That is just so important in our marriage. And it doesn't have to be some glamorous trip. It can just be a weekend getaway to a hotel in the same town that you live in. If you are away from your responsibilities, your phones are off, it's just the two of you, that is the goal. Religion. I want to find a new guided Devo. I've done the 40 Days of Gratitude twice now, and I love it. And I want to find a new one that will continue this fire that you've really, Stephanie, just continued to burst to life in me. And so if you have any recommendations, please let me know. And health is just moving my body and listening to my body. I think that is such a big thing, is recognizing when you don't need to move it, because that can lead to not just burnout, but injury as well. Taking time to really focus on those things. And we'll be listing all of these again on our socials, which we now have, and we'll talk about in just a little bit. But I think something else that I wanted to kind of point out was a lot of my big yearly goals are the same as what they were last year. It's just kind of building them and making them a little bit bigger, because you're not just going to magically, you did it and that's it. It's, okay, we've hit this kind of, I think we talked about it, habit plateau or goal plateau where we've reached it. Let's now make it a little bit bigger. Let's keep that climb going, that momentum going, and keep growing from there. So a lot of mine are the exact same as last year. So as you continue to follow us, because we will be here again at the end of next year, you'll probably hear that a lot of mine are exactly the same and just trying to get stronger in them. But we have socials now. Back to that. We now have an Instagram, and by the time episode 1 is posted, it'll be live. It's called SLDF Pod, POD. Again, that is not the Sri Lanka Design Festival, SLDF Pod. And that is where we will share our goals, our resources that we've found when researching for these episodes, and things that we're grateful for, finding the joy in the mundane that we talked about in episode 1. And to end this episode, we're going to be also including the what are we loving right now? Steph, I'm going to let you kick it off.
Awesome. So yeah, what are we loving right now? I started big last week. This week is not quite as big, but for anybody out there who has never tried it, for anybody out there,
if you say this yogurt, I swear.
I promise it's not. It's not the yogurt. It's even better than the yogurt because time is one of our most valuable resources, and it is something, as I have started setting these goals, I realized how poorly I was managing my time and how much more time I could actually complete my goals and add in new ones and be more present with my people and all of the things. Curbside pickup. Okay, let's just talk about it because I am old.
I don't even want to. I don't want to talk to you about it because
she's been doing it. Apparently,
how
everyone.
have you not been doing it? You have 5 children.
For me, it was always the fear of ordering something and then not getting the right thing or forgetting something, and then I'm in the middle of making a recipe and I don't have the thing that I needed.
You have your 6 jars of soy sauce.
I realized that I am a control freak over the stupidest things on the planet, and I pulled up to Walmart last week for my $200 grocery order. I pulled into the spot, I checked in, this sweet baby angel of a human brought them out to me, tried to load them up without my help. I was like, no, girlfriend, you are not putting my groceries in the back of this truck up and down. I will climb into the back of the truck.
It's like, I'm a bad human being. I don't get out of the car.
No, I have a pickup truck, and I was like, I will climb up in the back of the truck and set them in there. Don't worry about that. And I was in and out in 15 minutes, dude. I was home and had everything put away in the time that it would have taken me just to get to Walmart, get all of the stuff that I need, and then get checked out. Gosh forbid I got to check out in the self-checkout because I'm the worst at it. The thing is always beeping at me.
Stephanie.
It's just, listen.
I'm happy for you, but I will give you so much grief.
Oh, please. And listeners, by all means, give me grief, but please also give me Rex, because right now all I've done it is at Walmart. I've heard that the Target pickup is amazing as well. If you've got any others out there for any other type of thing, maybe not even groceries, but anything else that you know that a mom of 5 could use as a resource, please, because it's a game changer. And I don't think I will grocery shop for myself again, like on like a chill day where I'm not like in the rat race that is my life, but they're so few and far between. I need all the recommendations, and I'm loving curbside pickup right now. Shout out to Walmart. They're the real ones.
Shout out to Walmart.
I love them. God bless.
All right.
What are you loving right now, Halls?
I am going to start this week with I'm doing this podcast episode 2 with my best friend Stephanie. She's gone.
Just kidding.
I am really loving that we're doing this podcast, though, but that is not what I have on my one.
She's such a smarty.
I have a few things because I think it's been like a month since we recorded episode 1, which just starting a podcast during the holidays is a big feat. So really there won't be as many when we record next time because we're going to start recording more frequently. But 1, I am now 2 years officially into marriage, and that's just really exciting. Really, really happy about that. So happy belated anniversary, Em. And one of my nephews, we have like 16 nieces and nephews. So one of my nephews got his first cell phone. And so we've been texting, and it's just really cool having that communication and being able to reach out to him all the time now, probably more often than I should, but really excited about that. And hot chicken and pickle pizza. I don't know if you have ever had it, but it is one of the best things ever. We got it delivered for our anniversary this week, and it is delicious. So excited. One of my favorite things to ever get delivered. But thank you guys. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for sticking with us. Episode 2 is done. We will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
There are millions of fonts in the world, and new ones are constantly being developed. If you happen to be one of those millions out there that speak our language and are still developing, just like we are, stick with us.
We want to thank you for spending your time with us today, and we'll talk to you on the next episode of Same Language, Different Font. Love you, listeners.